Broadcasting live on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, in the evenings on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk, and in the nighttime hours in Seattle, 1150 AM KKNW. It's the Matt McNeil Show for your Thursday. Good to have you with us today. Next hour, Michael Broadcorp stops on by. But I've got a great guest for you to start off with today. Brian Ronholm is the Director of Food Policy for Consumer Reports. He leads Consumer Reports advocacy efforts to advance a safe and healthy food system. He brings a deep legislative and regulatory experience to the food policy at Consumer Reports. He was the Deputy Undersecretary of Food Safety at the U.S. Department of Agriculture. He also writes and speaks extensively on food policy issues, with a particular emphasis on emerging technologies, food safety modernization, and pending regulatory policies facing the food industry. He's kind enough to actually be in studio with us today. Brian, thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
Thanks a lot, Matt. Great. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure. First of all, you're in town here doing some speaking here. You guys, obviously, with working with Consumer Reports, you have it's kind of a busy existence for you. I mean, because there's always something new. You're always kind of having to run around. I mean, it's got to be a really kind of exciting experience to work for them.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, there's so much going on in this space, and there's so much work to do when it comes to protecting consumers, doing the type of product testing that's required to keep them safe, and all kinds of advocacy work to be in front of policymakers and corporate officials. So yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's also a lot of fun.
You did work for the Obama administration, but I'm going to ask you some questions here that I'm not trying to go political. I want to go practical. I'm going practical. I'm going with the idea of what has happened. Obviously, this change with the Trump administration's second term, where there's been a gutting of a lot of workers, and there have been multiple departments here that in the USDA regarding food safety that have been gutted. Yeah. This at the same time as we have concerns within the ag sector about avian flu, with other diseases which are starting to become much more prevalent. What is your evaluation of where things at before the shutdown, as things were going with the safety of our food system here in the United States?
I mean, set aside everything that's going on with the shutdown, and even with this current administration, historically, if you look at the Human Foods Program at the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, that's an agency that's been chronically underfunded and understaffed. So going back several decades, several administrations. So now you enter this year with a new administration, and those draconian cuts that DOJ undertook with staffing and resources, and that really just decimated the agency even more. They're trying to bring some of that back, but they're still kind of way behind when you consider how much they oversee of the food supply. And then you introduce the shutdown as part of that too, and that really takes away another pillar. And it really, a lot of the inspectors are still doing some of the urgent work, but there's a lot of kind of foundational work that's not getting done, like testing and investigations and things like that. So there's this gradual erosion that's going on with our food safety regulatory system, and it's very, very troubling, especially if this shutdown continues.
From what your description is, and obviously had from your firsthand experience seeing it in action, they're kind of getting a little bit of an impression there that, we're kind of lucky. I mean, we do have problems. I mean, it's not like there aren't problems within the system. E. coli outbreak, stuff like that, right. Lettuce, milk, dairy, listeria, stuff like that. But for the most part, our food system, considering the size of the country, considering the amount of food that we have, it is a pretty safe system. But it kind of sounds like, from what your experience is that's a lot due to a ton of very hardworking people that are putting in extra hours for sure, but as well a system that kind of pre-shutdown, pre-DOJ cuts was able to figure out and navigate this, but kind of barely. Is that a fair way to say it?
Yeah, I mean, it is fair to say that overall it's pretty safe, right? We consume a lot of food on a daily basis, and here we are, we're doing just fine. So, and that's because of all of the hard work. But what we're seeing now over the past year, when you look at the inspection force being taken away, you've seen a generation of expertise, scientists, investigators being wiped out. And that's going to take a lot of time to make that reinvestment to get us back to where we were before. And that's going to create some problems kind of going through that, right? Because we can't, if we don't have the ability to do surveillance, adequate surveillance to see what's going on out there in the food supply, it makes it that much more difficult to either reduce the impact of a particular outbreak or even prevent it totally. So we often likened it to a game of Jenga, the stacking game, where you're not going to see a dramatic sudden increase in foodborne illnesses or outbreaks. But when you start taking away certain blocks, it's surveillance, it's inspection, it's lab testing, pretty soon there's too many blocks that get pulled and the system comes crashing down. And that's what we're really most worried about in monitoring.
That was what we saw with COVID. I mean, they gutted a
Yeah.
good chunk of the programs there that were designed to stop a pandemic, and then all of a sudden, boom, when it does happen. When you talked about the Doge cuts, one of the things that it clearly is, this is not this is not an oil change shop. You can't just lay off a few people, hire a few more people, and bring them on in. You talked about the level of expertise there, and I know that the Trump administration has wanted to put in a bar of loyalty to Trump in that case, but it doesn't even sound like that's really practical considering the nature of this. Because if that's your first thing you're looking at, you're kind of ignoring the purpose of what the people who are in this agency are really there for.
That's right. That's right. And what is a little bit reassuring from the FDA standpoint is the food program at the FDA has generally been immune from a lot of the overtly political things that are going on. So the leader that they have in place right now, very earnest, really considers input from stakeholders and FDA scientists. So that's reassuring. Ultimately, though, he reports to folks up the chain like RFK Jr. and the White House. So we don't know what the long-term impact of the food program is going to be with that situation continuing. But yeah, I mean, the underpinning is still kind of declining. And one person can only do so much, no matter how earnest that the approach is. It's really going to have a negative impact on the overall system.
I'm without trying to get, I mean, and please, if I get into something too specific here, we can always become more generic on this. But I want to actually specifically talk about avian the avian flu that's been going around with poultry. It is now we have a guy we've had coming on, Dr. Joe Eastman. He is our guy that talked to about viruses and stuff like this, and he talks about these things in pandemics and does models. And he has said the problem that we have right now is that this is a virus that has mutated to where it goes out into pretty much any other animal. We've gotten it from livestock to human now. His concern is eventually this goes human to human, but he's also saying that there's a decent chance. I mean, if you look at some of the product out there, whether that's chicken breast on the shelf, milk within the cases, that there's more than likely residual, whether dangerous or not, flu within all these issues here. I mean, when you talk about that Jenga tower, I mean, it's kind of talk a little bit about this. I mean, in the sense being is, I'm sure there are people there that if all of a sudden they, picked up some milk in Ohio or something like that, and all of a sudden there was a problem that would go nationwide fairly quickly. Is that system in place? Can it manage something of this if all of a sudden things go south fairly quickly?
At this point, maybe.
Maybe.
But it has the potential of getting worse because if you think about the parallels of avian flu, there's certainly some similarities that exist on the food side, particularly as it relates to surveillance. So the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, they're the ones that handle a lot of the surveillance. Well, a lot of that got scaled back. So right now they're at this point where they're only monitoring 2 pathogens, E. coli and Salmonella. And there are 6 other ones that they typically would monitor.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So typically there's 6 other ones that they would typically monitor, but those resources have been taken away. And so now those scientists are hoping that can be picked up in some other way, whether it's at the state level or, at the college level, laboratories could do that type of work. So that's really detrimental to the surveillance system.
Mhm.
So because a lot of these pathogens, they evolve over time, right? Just like any virus, it evolves to its surroundings and sometimes becomes stronger. So we need those scientists, we need that expertise to be able to monitor things like that so that they can address them when they become a problem or even prevent it from becoming a problem. You're taking away all of that type of expertise as part of these cuts, and it really poses a higher risk of the food safety system going forward.
I guess it's a, and I try to say this, tongue in cheek to a point. I guess it's good we're dealing with chronic wasting disease within the deer species because the states themselves have, I mean, I know a lot of states have ramped up their monitoring. And so at least they have probably some level of containment that we can have there. And I imagine what would it take? I mean, if all of a sudden 2, 3, 4 states started showing some signs that the federal government would say, okay, now we have to come back in here and refund this because this is now a concern.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's going to take an urgent issue, urgent event to really compel action. And even then, it depends on how bad the cuts were on at a particular federal agency, if they don't have the bandwidth to address it in any meaningful, effective way, then they just may go back to the states and say, hey, listen, we can't take that on right now. You guys are going to have to figure it out.
We didn't really get into the shutdown. Obviously, this changes things dramatically.
Yeah.
You're not just looking at cuts. You're looking. I mean, how much testing and safety of the food system is going on right now at all?
There's a little bit, particularly as it relates to urgent matters. So if there is a particular outbreak that they're monitoring or they're trying to trace, there's some testing involved with that. The way our food safety system is set up, the division between the agencies. So USDA has oversees meat, poultry products, right? So they're under the law, they're supposed to be at those facilities on a continuous basis. Those plants can't operate unless an inspector is there. But from the FDA standpoint, they oversee the remaining food supply, which is about 80%. That is only relying on routine inspection. That's because there's just so many food facilities. It's impossible to be there on a continuous basis. So a lot of that is only happening when it comes to urgent issues. So it's those things like the routine testing that maybe isn't happening. And even when you think about the workforce, at a certain point, they're not going to get paychecks. Mm-hmm. And what is that going to do with the morale, the energy level? It's going to lead to, just historically speaking, when there's been a shutdown, at a certain point, you get higher sick days, no-shows, et cetera.
And I talked to the TSA about that.
Exactly, right?
Which brings up an interesting point. As you describe all this, I just remember the Boar's Head plant when they had that scandal that broke, or the baby formula in Michigan. Yeah. I mean, there were warning signs, and just it didn't get, it wasn't taken seriously until it got to be a big problem.
Well, that's exactly right. So our food safety system, even when it's running normally, it's not perfect. Yeah. And it can miss things like things that are happening at a deli meat plant that's going overlooked and then suddenly creates this chaos later on. And, the baby formula stuff where the one plant is controlling approximately 40% of the baby formula market, and you've got a shortage with higher prices. So yeah, even when it's operating effectively, it's still a lot of imperfections.
Yeah, we're scaring everyone today.
Sorry.
It's okay. Brian Ronholm is kind enough to join us. He's the Director of Food Policy for Consumer Reports. He's here today. We're going to take a break, come back. You actually just put out a little memo, and we want to talk a little bit about this, about the war on what the ingredients are in certain things that's being waged. We'll talk about that when we do return. It is the Matt McNeil Show here on your Thursday. Thanks for joining us.
Even while we sleep.
So an atheist, a Christian, and a Buddhist walk into a church. There's no punchline. That's just what happens every Sunday at First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis. It's all the thoughtful reflection, community, and warmth of a Sunday service without religious doctrine. Curious? Find out what we're all about. Join us for Sundays Reimagined at First Unitarian Society or live stream at firstunitarian.org. Think outside the pew.
There really is no place like home. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Home Health. When you're faced with an illness or an injury, being able to stay at home and receive care is important. Our home health offers a wide range of services, including skilled nursing, physical, occupational, and speech therapies, aides, homemakers, in-home respite care, and 24/7 live-in care. We'll work closely with your primary care provider to come up with an individualized plan for you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
Attention event planners and festival organizers. This is Frank Brown from Minuteman Press Uptown, your union print shop partner for your next event. We're here to check items off your list and make your event the talk of the town. From stunning banners and eye-catching signage to programs, tickets, and name badges. We print everything. Get promotional products at prices that let you load up on merch and fill those swag bags. Make your event unforgettable with Minuteman Uptown. Visit us at mpuptown.com.
Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
He's greedy. He's scrumptious. He's horrid. Roald Dahl's The Enormous Crocodile the Musical is on stage now through November 23rd at Children's Theater Company, featuring eye-popping puppets, a rich score with great groove, and plenty of mischievous audience interaction. Don't miss the U.S. premiere of the smash UK hit. Get your tickets for The Enormous Crocodile the Musical today at childrenstheater.org.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067, or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. Brian Ronholm is joining us, the Director of Food Policy at Consumer Reports. Your magazine, and once again, go get Consumer Reports. It actually is really good. It not only does it help you with stuff like toasters, but I was just talking about, I do appreciate your segment you had just on how not to have falls in the house. I will say that is, I agree with that one wholeheartedly. I want to read a little bit. This is from something you just put out here on Tuesday. Consumer Reports statement on the food industry's new campaign to block state bans on harmful food chemicals. You, the Director of Food Policy at Consumer Reports, issued the following statement in response to the food industry's misleading named Americans for Ingredient Transparency Coalition, which was launched today. If there were truth in labeling laws governing the naming of campaigns, this coalition would be prohibited from disguising their true intention, which is to wipe out all the state laws that protect consumers from harmful chemical ingredients in food and hold the industry accountable. It's disappointing to see these giant food companies investing millions of dollars on high-priced lobbyists and ad campaigns to mislead the public and policymakers instead of removing the toxic ingredients of their products. We are living in a day and age where news cycles are filled to the rim. So I imagine a lot of people might be, what is this going on? I know. Let's talk a little bit about the Americans for Ingredient Transparency Coalition.
Yeah, so what this stemmed from is over the past several years, there's been several states that have worked on bills that would protect consumers, hold industry accountable by banning, toxic food chemicals, additives, and synthetic food dyes, right? Either ban them outright or keep them out of school meal programs. There's also been laws that require baby food manufacturers to test for lead and post the results. And there's also a California law that just passed this year about getting ultra processed foods, really harmful ultra processed foods, out of the school meal program. So a lot of those activities that happen in the states because consumers have been frustrated with having these ingredients on labels that they can't pronounce. So there's this overwhelming demand from consumers to have these toxic elements out of food. And you also have this, decades of FDA inaction. They haven't been able to address these issues in a meaningful way. Mm-hmm. So because of that, the states undertook these bills and passed them. And so what the industry is frustrated with is this patchwork system. So they will argue that it creates a lot of uncertainty. They're not able to kind of conduct business effectively because of these patchwork laws. So ultimately what they want to do is they want one system nationwide. Mm-hmm. And we agree, actually. We would love to see that happen. Unfortunately, that hasn't been happening. And there's just no way that's going to happen anytime in the near future. So, and that's why the states have acted.
Well, and what they're wanting is the lowest common denominator standard,
exactly,
which is what's the least regulated state.
Exactly.
That needs to be the standard for everywhere. I mean, you bring up the school lunches in California. I remember when I was a kid and they would say ketchup was a vegetable and that was how they got, and we don't realize, the effects of that. And by the way, the BBC had an excellent piece on this maybe 10, 15 years ago about the ultra processed foods and how dangerous really they are. They're not really good at all. It brings up an interesting point. I mean, is this organization, they're currently, about the reports of it, there's a bit of a war going on within the Trump administration between RFK Jr., who one of his big policy things, something that actually has broader appeal, is removing these additives, these chemicals, getting, right, cleaner foods, processed foods in this country. But I mean, in particularly, it was the soda industry, I think, has been working with the Trump administration to say, no, you don't want to regulate sodas. We want to do this our way. Is this organization somewhat of a direct counter to the fact that They hear what RFK Jr. is putting forward. They know that this is kind of his bellwether, the thing that he has the most appeal on. So he's probably going to push for it. And this is them trying to strike back on that before it gets going.
Yeah, they're ultimately a little scared of what's going on because RFK is making all of these pronouncements and about how the industry should push to do this, and that's why you see this coalition form. So it's a common play from a common industry playbook where you come up with a name that's completely ironic to the original intent, and of course the intent is to block these state laws like we talked about earlier, and yeah, they're just really freaked out. They're very scared. And that's why they want to push for this and lobby Congress to pass legislation to, block these state laws from going into effect and wait for a federal standard. Unfortunately, no matter how much RFK Jr. can talk about this or how much the FDA can act, ultimately it takes staffing, it takes resources to put all of these policies in place. That doesn't exist right now. So they're not going to be able to work on this for decades. And so this is an industry attempt to block all of that momentum that has been created by the states and from MAHA.
So basically kind of go into saying, hey, until we can get a nationwide standard, we need someone to negate all these state laws and just basically, and then we'll start from zero sort of thing. Is that kind of the point?
That's exactly right. Ultimately, they want to wipe out these state laws because they're frustrated. Meanwhile, what's frustrating for consumers is that a lot of these chemicals and dyes are banned in other parts of the world.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And a lot of these companies are already making products to address those bans. So what they're doing is they're manufacturing products and making them available, the safer, less toxic versions available to other parts of the world, but the inferior versions with the toxic elements are kept here in the US.
Well, and usually that product is maybe 2 or 3 cents more expensive because of a changed out chemical per box or whatever they're working with.
Sometimes it's not even that, Matt.
Yeah,
I mean, the cost is negligible.
So it really is kind of one of those things. I mean, we already mentioned before the business ethics class. I think we've all just failed at kind of going out there. I will also say this before. And once again, RFK Jr. has said he wants to do this, but this was also the guy that praised, Sugar Cane Coke being at Steak and Shake. And I'm like, okay, yeah, it does kind of have, kind of conflicting messages when you kind of put stuff out like that.
Yeah, the political dynamics that exist in food right now are really fascinating because a lot of this stuff took hold way before MAHA came about. And, a lot of us were working for these types of changes. We were begging for administrations to address this in a meaningful way, but they never did. And now we have a messenger. It may not be a messenger that some groups want, but it is the messenger that we have at the moment. And so we're trying to navigate the politics of it in that there's some leverage there with alignment on food chemicals and additives and dyes. But, we also want to distance ourselves from maybe elements of that coalition that believe in other things that we don't.
Well, and also you have to bring up the other issue, which is as people try to eat healthier, there are misinformation campaigns. I was just reading a story about, I think it was in The Guardian, that was about a woman taking turmeric. And, this was an additive supposed to make you healthy, but it was actually wiping out our white blood cells because it was, for her, some people have a reaction and it damages their liver. And that's what was happening. And so without federal guidance on some of these things, you can end up seeing something on Google or, someone sends you a suggestion and it ends up being actually a dangerous thing to do.
That's absolutely right. And those are the kind of things that the industry wants to minimize or dismiss with this effort. Right. They're going to talk about transparency and they're going to talk about consumer education. Well, these ingredients, they're not as harmful as people think. You have to digest like 500 tons of it before it can have any impact. But, consumers understand that intuitively. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's like, why bother having them in there in the first place if there's no impact on taste and no impact on nutrition?
Brian Ronholm, once again, is the Director of Food Policy at Consumer Reports. Thank you very much for coming on by today. I have about 5,000 more questions. Please come on back at some point. I'd love to have you back.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Matt.
And thank you very much for coming here into the Twin Cities. I hope you safe travels as you head on back on out here. Brian Ronholm, once again, Director of Food Policy at Consumer Reports. We'll take a break. Come on back. It is the Matt McNeil Show.
Maybe I love just like a wind.
Come see the Trained Chimp. It's the Matt McNeil Show, 3 to 5 p.m. weekday afternoons, right here on AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
This season, bring the whole family to see Irving Berlin's White Christmas. This smash hit musical based on the classic film returns by popular demand to delight you at Chanhassen dinner theaters. With loads of laughter and a stunning showcase of Irving Berlin songs, White Christmas is a celebration of the romance, friendship, and magic of the holidays. Make your plans today to see White Christmas. Visit chanhassendt.com.
Hi, I'm Scott Shamblot from Shamblot Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. We know dental anxiety and dental phobia are real. We'll take the time to get to know you and give you what you need to be comfortable at all times. We offer free nitrous oxide laughing gas and have high-tech options to help you feel calm and relaxed during your appointments. We'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call because we don't like to see anyone in pain. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been going to Shamblot Family Dentistry for years. They get me in last minute when I'm in pain and make regular checkups easy and comfortable.
Shamblot Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblotfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
In today's uncertain times, Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces believes that a fire can add comfort and security to your life. At Woodland, our mission is to connect you to a place for fire that works.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces installed our wood stove years ago, and we still love it. Watching the fire, feeling the heat is a joy we experience every day. And knowing we have a reliable heat source makes us feel snug and safe.
There are many choices in wood, gas, or electric. For diversity in styles, at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we display over 180 models, and 35 of these are burning displays. You can experience the glow and warmth of a live fire.
Whether wood, gas, or electric, find a fire that warms your heart, a fire that adds comfort and security to your life. See the many choices at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, located on the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis, and online at woodlandstoves.com.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces since 1977. For over 48 years, our slogan has been, out of the ordinary products and services. Our mission is to get you a fireplace that works in your life.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 51, tonight clear with a low around 32, and Friday sunny with a high near 57. Unleash your cravings at Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Dive into a world of flavor with their signature Philly steak, tantalizing turkey bacon avocado, and an array of mouth-watering options like crispy chicken and fish. Pair it perfectly with freshly fried fries or golden onion rings. Unforgettable sandwiches. That's Maverick's Real Roast Beef in Roseville.
ATNF AM 950, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Wanna believe that you don't have a bad bone in your body.
Broadcasting in Chicago at nights, WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. In Seattle, 1150 AM KKNW. And, of course, in Minneapolis, St. Paul, on AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show for your Thursday. Nice to have you with us. And once again, thanks to Brian for stopping on by. It was actually kind of really nice. He's on, there's a local show, Food Freedom Radio. And he was actually here to do one of their segments. It's a weekend show here. You can podcast that. Laura, the host there, it's a fantastic show. She got Andrew Zimmerman up this weekend on her show. And then she's got Brian joining her a week from this weekend. So, go find Food Freedom Radio. You can podcast that and enjoy that show as well. Part of the bevy of shows that are out there for you. All right. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Patrick, how are we today?
Doing all right. It's a grocery shopping day today.
It was indeed grocery shopping day today. I will say, once again, the selection of there were two things I noticed that were really kind of low. They didn't have much of them at all. One was ramen noodles once again, which once again I think that is just a smidge of a concern. Is there been a recall on? Maybe I should have asked Brian this. Has there been a recall on spinach or something like that? Because I went to go buy some spinach and most of the spinach was gone. I had to go get the organic stuff. No problem. Well, would we even know if it existed? It's tonight. I get to go out like every place now. They got one of those pumpkin things where they carve the pumpkins up, put them out there. I need to get my Halloween on. I got the candy for the kids. No, I not due to our discussion yesterday with Brett. I am not about to start making my own caramel apples and candy apples and stuff like that. I did go buy I got the good stuff, kids. I'll see you on Halloween night. Yeah, I got all my stuff. I got set to go. I'm going to do 3 pumpkins this year. I need to get into my Halloween super spooky time of the year mode right now. You don't have many. Do you have many trick-or-treaters at all?
It kind of varies on the year. It seems like it's been fewer than they were in past years.
But it's a Friday now. I mean, if you're going to get a day, it's going to be that day.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. I'll be handing out spices. It's like if I run through all my candy. Hey, it's a little Susie here. I hope you like tarragon. It's delicious. Try it with eggs. It's very nice. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. All right, quick little point to the Democrats who sometimes have a tendency of shooting themselves in the feet once they start getting motivation. I read this headline and I said, oh, for God's sakes, no. Here's the headline. This is a commentary piece from Raw Story, I believe it was. No Kings was wonderful. Then Trump showed out why the next march should be no Mafia Dons. Okay, no. Okay, you guys, it sometimes is frustrating to watch Democrats who have an easy layup of a shot, decide that they're going to hawk up a full court shot and not only not hit the basket, but basically send somebody in the stands to the hospital while they break their own leg while they do it. No Kings works, okay? I mean, I just want to nip this in the bud. No Kings is working. No Kings is working. You just had the 2 biggest protests in the history of this country. You don't need to. We need to have a 900-word name for ourselves that really encompasses everybody. No Kings. Simple, easy. I kind of wonder if the band Doomtree is getting residuals off this one, by the way. FYI, go check out their logo. But no, don't overthink it. Don't. I get it. You have your pet cause, Peruvian goats. Why aren't we talking more about Peruvian goats? I don't know why we're not talking. Maybe because no. Go with no Kings. All right. You don't need to no Kings. Kings are bad. And if you haven't noticed, we've got a bad one. He is pardoning. What Trump has done to justice is inexcusable. Not only is he rounding people up because of the color of their skin or the accent they might have, not only is he completely ignoring white collar crime. I mean, they've dropped all these cases against they've just dropped them. Not that they couldn't win them. They just dropped them. They just said, we're not going to prosecute these cases. White collar crime, anything that involves a white person. And frankly, that does include, sexual assaults, child sex, all that stuff. They're ignoring all that unless it's a transgender case, and then they'll pay attention. But they clearly are not paying attention to that. They're not taking advantage of the meth crisis in rural America. Fentanyl seems to be nowhere on their horizon right now. That seems to be coming back again because they don't care. And at the same time, as they're not prosecuting these cases they should be prosecuting, he's prosecuting people for petty political reasons. And he's pardoning people that should never be pardoned. Trump has pardoned Binance founder Changpeng Zhao, who had previously pled guilty to enabling money laundering while heading the cryptocurrency exchange. Jesus. A pardon of Zhao, widely seen as CZ, came 2 months after the Wall Street Journal reported that Trump family's own crypto venture, which has generated about $4.5 billion since the 2024 election, has been helped by a partnership with the under-the-radar trading platform quietly administered by Binance. You guys remember when you were screaming about Hunter's laptop and Burisma, which was, by the way, a completely fabricated, made-up story. There was nothing there. But you guys kept wagging fingers into cameras talking about, we have to have integrity here. This is just, he's basically saying, if you get into business, maybe make a lot of money, I don't care what you did, I'm going to let you go. And the fact that a cryptocurrency, which is basically a fraudulent currency. It is. It's a Ponzi scheme wrapped up in some glitz and glamour. I would never in a million freaking years invest in crypto because it's a sham. It's a scam. It is. We're going to tell you what our money is worth. Really? You can do that? Apparently they can. And the fact that clearly Trump is having all this money pour into his coffers, $4.5 billion. Anytime you guys want to start investigating that crime, knock yourself out. I'll wait for that coverage like I'm expecting you to eventually cover Trump like you covered Biden with the mental compromise. Yeah, I don't think you're ever going to do that, even though Trump is 10 times worse. Trump exercised his constitutional authority by issuing a pardon of Mr. Zhou, who was prosecuted by the Biden administration on their war on cryptocurrency, said White House Press Secretary Karen Levin in a statement. Trump's pardon of Zhao came nearly a week after he commuted an 87-month prison sentence for former New York Representative George Santos, who, by the way, is in big trouble in New York. He's probably going to go back to jail. And want to know the truth is he probably would want to stay in federal custody as opposed to go to state custody in New York. But hey, live and learn. Well, who had pled guilty to wire fraud and aggravated theft. Deeply grateful today for the pardon. We must do everything to make America the capital of crypto and advance Web3 worldwide, he wrote before adding, still in the fight, more posts to come, blah, blah, blah. So basically, corrupt currency dude gets pardoned by even more corrupt human being, and they all blame everyone else for, how dare you say we're corrupt? And by the way, we're no promises that our currency is legit. I mean, for goodness sakes, you just had a case where your cryptocurrency was being manipulated by people throwing sex toys onto the WNBA courts. You're not a legitimate thing. But illegitimate, and that's Donald Trump. Yeah. I'll say this. I did find it interesting. Now, the next story I'm going to get into, I understand why they broke it. This is actually a pretty big story. But I think a lot of this story being broke is to cover up not only the destruction of the East Wing of the White House, which, god-awful, but as well Zhao's pardon. I think that this came on out. The FBI came out today with all their press corps and stuff, and it's been getting a lot of headlines. This also goes in conjunction with something I've said is ever since the sports leagues got into bed with the gambling sites, this stuff is starting to get out more and more out of control. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. I guarantee you right now that every single league is polluted with people who and players and coaches who are manipulating the system to try to make a few bets. I mean, there's just no way you can't have this level of gambling intertwined with the athletic leagues as much as it is. I believe it is the number one sponsor of sports in this country now is gambling sites, more than alcohol, more than beer. That's crazy. Portland Trail Blazers coach Chauncey Billups, Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier, and former Cleveland Cavaliers player and assistant coach Damon Jones have been arrested as part of a pair of wide-ranging investigations related to illegal sports betting and rigged poker games backed by the mafia, authorities said on Thursday. Yeah, this isn't good. Billups and Rozier have been placed on leave from their teams, the NBA said in a statement. A total of 34 people were arrested as a result of the years-long investigation covering 11 states and involving tens of millions of dollars. FBI Director Kash Patel said law enforcement officials and multiple charges involve 4 mafia families and organized crime networks, with Patel saying of the money involved that the fraud is mind-boggling. I don't think it's mind-boggling. I think this is inevitable. I think the second you allowed right now, and I don't know what it's like in Chicago or in Seattle or Wisconsin, Minnesota, we don't have you can't have the personal betting sites. There are still options. You can still plenty of options. You want to go gamble and bet, you can. But we don't have them. But what we have is a bunch of people in the sports sector, whether that's the sports media or personalities or advocates, are out there saying, "Come on, man, don't you want to have some fun and gamble?" It's an addictive thing, dude. I mean, you had people losing houses last Super Bowl. It's an addiction. And you guys keep storming like this is infallible, that there's not going to be any problems. You've got some legit questions here on the legitimacy of kind of this league. The part of the scheme, the gamblers and non-public information to bet on at least 7 NBA games between March 2023 and March of 2024 involving the Charlotte Hornets, Orlando Magic, the Trailblazers, the Lakers, and the Raptors, according to the indictment. In 3 of the 7 games, players intentionally removed themselves from contest to benefit gamblers' bets, according to the indictment. That would imply there is a lot more people involved in this than just these players. Than these 3 here. That if you've got players in all these games, and it's not, and the wording here is in 3 of these 7 games, players intentionally remove themselves. The defendants had access to private information known by NBA players or NBA coaches that would likely affect the outcome of the games or players' performances, and provided that information to other co-conspirators in exchange for either a flat fee or share of the betting profits, according to the indictment. Yep. As advertised, I said this is, I guarantee you, referees, coaches, players. I don't know how much of these games are even legit anymore. If you want to know the truth, I'm dead serious too. The U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, Joseph Nocella Jr., called it one of the most brazen sports corruption schemes since online sports betting became widely legalized in the United States. Billups, who was arrested in Oregon, is charged in a separate indictment alleging a wide-ranging scheme to rig underground poker games that were backed by mafia families, authorities said. The defendants are accused of using technology to steal millions from victims in New York. And also, through Billups is not named the sports betting indictment, a description of a co-conspirator who has allegedly told a bettor that the number of Trailblazers players would miss a March 2023 game had a playing and coaching career that matches Billups. Billups and Rozier have been indicted on charges of wire fraud, conspiracy, and money laundering. The newest bombshell, though, involves the former NBA player Damon Jones, suggests that while affiliated with the Lakers, Jones leaked information about the injury status of LeBron James to sports bettors before a February 2023 game. James is not accused of any wrongdoing in the federal indictment, which alleges that Jones, 49, and other defrauded betting companies. Jones and James previously played together on the Cleveland Cavaliers. I believe he was a coach and assistant coach in that time. So, yep. Now, once again, I think that there's a lot about this being made to kind of hide some of the things that Trump is doing right now, but this is pretty bad. And once again, not only will this not lead to anyone saying, maybe we shouldn't have gambling so intertwined with the sports networks. Nope, people will say we need to do it more. That's the crazy part. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
This job requires a leader to do what's right. It starts by telling the truth and being honest about the problems that we're facing. Mayor Fry has been honest about sharing real solutions. Senator Fateh, not so sure. Mayor Fry is committed to restoring the city's vitality. Minneapolis needs sound, steady, and honest leadership. That's Jacob Fry.
This independent expenditure is paid for by all of Minneapolis. It is not coordinated with or approved by any candidate, nor is any candidate responsible for it.
Twin Cities Con returns to the Minneapolis Convention Center for their 5th year, November 7th through the 9th. Twin Cities Con is a celebration of comics, toys, TV, film, art, cosplay, games, and all things nerdy. There's nothing like Twin Cities Con. It's also a family-friendly event where you can meet your favorite celebrities, browse the vendor hall and artist alley for the coolest merch, watch celebrity Q&As, and even more. Twin Cities Con is bigger and better than before. Come see from the Star Wars universe Ahmad Best, Rosario Dawson and Giancarlo Esposito, Brendan Fraser, and the cast of The Mummy, WWE Wrestling Hall of Famers Sting and Mick Foley, and the voice actors from the hit Disney series Phineas and Ferb, plus more guests to be announced. 3 days of action-packed fun in the heart of Minneapolis at the Minneapolis Convention Center. Tickets start at $50. Kids' tickets are just $10 for the entire weekend. VIP tickets also available, including a 3-day weekend pass, plus some really cool VIP perks. More guests will be announced. Buy your tickets and get more information at TwinCitiesCon.com.
This is Alex Knorr from Buzzcut Mowing, a young, hardworking entrepreneur serving the Southwest Metro with affordable lawn care. I take the hard work off your plate with weekly mowing. I also offer leaf cleanups, aeration, dethatching, tree trimming, and mulch installation. I'll keep your lawn beautiful so you can enjoy your weekends with the people who matter most. Visit buzzcutmowingmn.com. That's buzzcutmowingmn.com.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. October is here, so Halloween is right around the corner. And if you're thinking of having a horror movie marathon with friends, you better make sure your home doesn't look like something out of one of those movies. Don't ghost your carpet this fall. My cleaning heroes at Zero Res can help get all those spooky smells and creepy stains out of your home. Carpet, tile, rugs, upholstery, hardwood, any surface in your home can be Zero Resified. Right now, you can get your entire home Zero Resified from Minnesota's ultimate carpet cleaner with 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $129. But there's something even scarier than ghosts and goblins hiding in your home, and it's in your air ducts. This month, take 15% off your air duct and dryer vent cleaning service. Don't let a missed deal haunt you. Call 9520-RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com today and ask for the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205. Patrick reminded me, where is this? There's apparently an investigation on the baseball side too, right?
Yeah, Cleveland had a couple pitchers placed on leave over the summer for gambling investigations, including one of them. He's regarded as one of the better relief pitchers in the game, so you wonder how he got involved in something like that.
I'm going to make a statement here, and I'll let people raise their eyebrows as they deem fit. I found it very curious, the referees' calls in the WNBA playoffs. I thought the WNBA playoffs, the refs' calls, I have some questions on what game were they freaking watching? And I'll just say it like that. Would I be surprised if an entire league is corrupted to a point at this point? Of course not. God. Do you know how much money is going through these things? We live in a world of kind of sadness and desperation right now. People thought, oh, Donald Trump is going to help me. No, he was never going to help you. You basically voted for him because you thought he was going to hurt other people. And even in your best case scenario, even if he doesn't help you at all, but he doesn't hurt you, that still is not getting you ahead. You voted to hurt other people. But in turn, he's hurting all you guys. And when you have stuff like that happen, people turn to vice as a way to try to escape. Liquor, drugs, gambling. Hey, I'll be the first to admit, when Powerball or Mega Millions gets up there, I go buy a ticket too. And I think about, what would I do if I won the whole thing? Ooh, yeah, nothing. Anyway. I might not leave this job, but there'll be signs. If you see me wearing, fashionable clothes, I'll probably deck myself out in Burberry. I like their stuff. Anyway, but there'll be signs. But no, that's only though when they gotta get up high. You get this problem with the sports gambling, and we've talked about it. We talk about it all the freaking time. Is that you look how they market it? Bet now bet again. Now bet again. Now bet again. Now bet again. 30 seconds of this. Like you're supposed to just sit there and constantly be placing bets. And as John Oliver, once again, last week tonight, one of the few people out there doing any kind of legitimate news, they showed, these sports betting places, they're not exactly stopping people when it's clear they've got a gambling problem. We live in a time of desperation. It's not going to get any better anytime soon because you've basically put, one of the most corrupt individuals who thinks he's royalty into a position of power. And he was never there to help you, you stupid idiots. He was never going to help you, you dumb fools. And now you're seeing that and you're, I didn't realize it. I'm sorry. At this point, I don't know what's going to happen to you because it's going to be at least January of 2027 before any change happens. And before that time, I don't think anything is going. I think everything is going to keep getting worse and worse and worse for you. I guarantee you the only way you're going to basically get any relief before Trump is out of office, hopefully in January 2029, is by putting a veto-proof majority in the House and the Senate so they can pass some bills. But you guys don't want to do that. You guys, for goodness sakes, Joe Biden saved your ag sectors after he took office, the ones that Trump had destroyed. He went out and saved you. You were getting $17 a bushel on soybeans back in 2022. That's courtesy of Joe Biden. Thank you very much. And you turned on him and screamed, "Let's go, Brandon! Let's go, Brandon!" I'm swearing at him, but I'm not really swearing at him. I'm sorry. You keep looking around like the Democrats are going to go help you. The Democrats couldn't help you if they wanted to. And I can tell you right now, there's a lot of Democrats who are like, you know what? You can eat the sandwich you just made for yourself. It's not going to get better. Amazon is reportedly leaning into automation plans that will enable the company to avoid hiring more than 500,000 U.S. workers. Citing interviews and internal strategy documents, The Times reported that Amazon is hoping that its robots can replace more than 600,000 jobs it would otherwise have to hire in the United States by 2033, despite estimating it will sell about twice as many products over the period. Documents reportedly show that Amazon's robotics team is working towards automating 75% of the company's entire operations and expects to ditch 160,000 U.S. roles that would otherwise be needed by 2027. This would save about 30 cents on every item that Amazon warehouse and delivers to customers. You think you're going to see those savings? Of course not. They're going to go right into their pockets, man. That dude's got to make another, phallic-shaped rocket. He can basically say, "Look, I'm a spaceman." Oh. They've already kind of, in case you've missed what they've sort of said, when they ran off a lot of the migrants who were here, the undocumented workers who were here picking the crops, doing the jobs that Americans just did not want to do, and the ag sector started going into the toilet. One of the things I started noticing was a new tone from the Trump administration that basically implied, you know what, it should be every American's duty to spend 2 weeks out working in a farm field. Now, mind you, this is because they don't have enough workers out in rural America. This is implying that they're going to drive people from the cities, the urban areas, out to work forced labor in the ag sector because that's what's going to need. And somehow this is going and pay you the same rate that the undocumented worker was going to get, and leave you with hunched over, crippled, and barely able to walk. This seems to be their goal. And as they get rid of more jobs with AI and robotics, that means fewer and fewer jobs for Americans, which gives them kind of say, "Hey, we got jobs for you. Who wants to pick carrots in the heat?" By the way, they tried something like this, and we talked about this before. In California, they tried to take some high school athletes and put them out in the farm fields. It did not work. It did not work. It was pretty miserable. But hey, I guess, once again, these are all the jobs you MAGA people demanded were opened up for you. So chop, chop, off you go. Get into those fields. Start picking those crops. It's time for you to get to work. Chicago, Seattle. Talk to you on a Friday. Until then, Monday, Minneapolis, St. Paul, hour 2 up next. In 1979, Paul Metza moved from the Iron Range to Minneapolis to begin his musical life. After a decorated career, multiple albums and books, over 5,000 live shows, including appearing at Farm Aid, 8 Minnesota Music Awards, and over 11 years hosting the Wall of Power Radio Hour on AM 950, the man described as Minnesota's other great Iron Range songwriter is celebrating his 70th birthday, and you're invited. It's Songs of Resistance and Resolve, Paul Metza's 70th birthday and CD release party, Sunday, November 2nd at the Astor House in St. Anthony, Maine at 7 p.m. Paul has helped with hundreds of benefits over the years for progressive causes and people in need, and this show is a benefit for AM 950. He'll be joined by his Cats Under the Stars trio, Sonny Earl, Mary Harris, and his new Duluth-based backup singers, the Tilt Town Titanettes. Tickets start at $25, and there's a front row meet and greet option. Come early to enjoy the delicious Astor House menu, and make sure you pick up Paul's new 12-song CD. Sunday, November 2nd, it's Songs of Resistance and Resolve, Paul Metza's 70th birthday and CD release party at Astor House in St. Anthony, Maine. Tickets are available at AstorHouseMPLS.com.
Join me, Tom Hartman, where smart people get their news. The Tom Hartman Program, On AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. Some well-known NBA names arrested on illegal sports betting and gambling charges. Ed Donahue has details.
Portland Trailblazers coach Chauncey Billups and Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier are among those charged with schemes involving illegal sports betting and rigged poker games backed by the mafia. FBI Director Kash Patel says more than 30 people are facing charges.
This is the insider trading saga for the NBA.
There are 2 indictments. Billups is charged in a wide-ranging scheme to rig underground poker games backed by mafia families. New York Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch says Rozier is accused in an illegal sports betting scheme using private insider NBA information. In one game, he told people ahead of time he was planning to leave early with a supposed injury. Bets were placed.
Rozier exited the game after just 9 minutes, and those bets paid out, generating tens of thousands of dollars in profit. The proceeds were later delivered to his home.
Billups was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame last year. I'm Ed Donahue.
President Trump's backing off a planned surge of federal agents to San Francisco after speaking to the mayor, who told him the city's making progress reducing crime on its own. Lithuania's president says Russian military planes violated the country's airspace this evening. The incident comes amid heightened concern in the Baltics that Moscow might be testing NATO's defenses. Meantime, a day after the U.S. announced new sanctions on Russia, the EU says it's imposing more too. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
All of us need ceasefire. But we need more pressure on Russia for ceasefire.
Stocks back on the rise today. The S&P climbed 0.6%, closing in on its all-time high. The Dow added 144 points, also finishing just below its record. The Nasdaq gained 0.9%. And the entire east wing of the White House has been demolished as President Trump moves forward with construction of a ballroom. This is AP News.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-1897. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-1897. That's 800-575-1897. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real.
Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
When was the last time you had your roof inspected for extreme weather and hail damage? This is Chad, owner of AM 950, to talk about the exterior construction company I trust, Snap Construction. If you've noticed new roofing projects in your neighborhood, your home was likely hit by hail last summer and experienced damage. Snap Construction is helping homeowners like you, and they're the roofing specialists I trust. They are the most well-reviewed contractor in the Twin Cities and have a ton of positive customer reviews from homeowners just like you. Even better, Snap Construction's installations are backed by a lifetime warranty, so you know you're dealing with a qualified roofing expert. You want to work with a company that will be here for a long time after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims and will help you through the process. Do yourself a favor and get a free roofing inspection so you have the facts and peace of mind you deserve. Call Snap Construction today at 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP. Or visit snapconstruction.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 51. Tonight, clear with a low around 32. And Friday, sunny with a high near 57. Unleash your cravings at Mavericks Real Roast Beef. Dive into a world of flavor with their signature Philly steak, tantalizing turkey bacon avocado, and an array of mouth-watering options like crispy chicken and fish. Pair it perfectly with freshly fried fries or golden onion rings. Unforgettable sandwiches. That's Mavericks Real Roast Beef in Roseville.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour number 2 of the show here. Thursday. Good to have you with us here today. Michael Broadcorp joining us. We got a Thursday night football game here tonight. Vikings at Chargers. I don't think this is going to be a good one for us. As a matter of fact, I'm giving you a preview right there. I don't. JJ is not starting. That's confirmed.
Yep, it'll be Wentz. It was announced on Monday, and I think even if they wanted to, the short week was going to be a problem getting JJ ready to play.
But okay, I'll talk to. They brought Aaron Jones is off the injury reserve, so he's going to be playing tonight. So, clearly Carson Wentz is not going to be the guy. So we'll have to see. I mean, boy, Sam Darnold on that team would sure look good right now, wouldn't he? Yeah, he would. He really would. Anyway, 952-946-6205. So earlier today, I made a post. The story came out. The Met Council voted on Wednesday to enter into a contract with the Minnesota Department of Transportation to provide express bus service from Big Lake to Elk River to downtown Minneapolis. The new Route 882 will begin service on January 5th in place of the North Star commuter rail line. They call it beleaguered, which is once again the Star Tribune adding in a little bit of extra personal context to it, which the council voted to shut down due to low ridership and high operating costs. Northtown's last run will be over the first weekend of January as the train will serve fans headed to the Vikings' final home game of the season. And the buses will then take over. Bus trips from Big Lake to downtown Minneapolis will take 77 minutes. 51 minutes from Elk River, according to the representation delivered to the Met Council. The Met Council had previously approved replacing trains with 2 express routes serving North Star Park and Rides in Ramsey, Anoka, Coon Rapids on Friday that left Elk River and Big Lake with no substitute for North Star, even though nearly half the rail line's riders boarded the 2 communities in Sherburne County, according to Metro Transit. My thing is, don't give them a bus, right? They had a train line. And from people I have known up there, from contacts, from listeners who have gotten in touch with me, there was a huge element in those communities who are saying, don't you ever ride that commie train, because they wanted it to fail. Don't serve them. They don't want mass transportation. We gave them one of the slickest ways of transportation they could possibly have, and they didn't want it. They didn't want it, not because they couldn't use it, but because they considered it too Democrat, and it had to be stopped. And once again, I'll go back and I'll definitely have a conversation with the fool Democrats who, when the Republicans came hat in hand to them and said, guys, we understand you're going to build this one way or the other, but do we have to build it all the way to St. Cloud? Let's just build it to Big Lake. And you're like, okay, we're going to compromise with you. Yeah, exactly. And then the second you agree to that, the first thing out of the mouth is, can you believe those stupid idiot Democrats built a train line to Big Lake? Yeah, you cannot trust Republicans. They're always trying to outplay you, and you guys are pretty easy to outplay sometimes. Now, even though clearly people want light rail service, I mean, take a look at the Aurora Borealis line that heads down to Chicago. People want to get from the bigger cities, in the Twin Cities, and from the Twin Cities into those other bigger cities, and they're nowhere near having that done. They don't want it. They sat there, and of course they're going to sit there like, well, if we don't have any mass transportation, then the value of our properties will go down. I don't give a rat's caboose about your properties in Big Lake or in Elk River. I don't. You guys did not want this. So drive, pay for your gas, or drive to the nearest park and ride and go from there. You didn't want it. You had a viable freaking train going through your town. Do you know how many communities would die to have a Metro Transit train going through their towns? You guys, And yeah, just drive. Why are you doing this for them? Don't placate this kind of behavior. They don't like you, Metro Transit. They don't want to transit. They don't want buses. They don't want these things. They don't want them. Those communities, and I understand there's some people up there that do drive them. That's fine. But those communities actively worked against this train line. So you just say, hey, well, the nearest park and ride is 40 minutes away from your house. You can go take advantage of that. Oh, I don't want to do that. I want to work from home now. Yeah, okay. I'm going to stand by it. I don't think you should be giving any train lines at all to those guys, or any bus lines there. I think they're on their own. They're on their own. They didn't want it. Fine. Now all of a sudden, don't act like, oh, well, this is a good investment. No, it's not. You wasted a lot of taxpayer dollars to make a political point. So bravo, congratulations, you did it. Job well done. You don't now all of a sudden don't act like, well, we need help up here. Screw you. Seriously. Why? I can tell you, let's run the South Metro, Inver Grove Heights, Eagan, Burnsville. They would love to have more transit options. They would love to have a train that runs across the river from Shakopee up to the Twin Cities. Oh, they would love to have something like that. You guys had it, and you basically, because it's the Somali flag train. So no, you don't want mass transit. That we shouldn't give it to you. Move out of Big Lake and Elk River. They're too far away from us anyway. Move. You want it this way? I'm just doing it what you wanted. And now all of a sudden, all the time for conservative, wait a second, that's not fair. Screw you. Now it's fair. No, you had a train coming to your town. You had a train, and you idiots basically said, if you're on it, you're a Libby scum. Why are we spending taxpayer dollars sending any buses up there then? Signed, the Libby scum. 952-946. Seriously, you should. Some of the stories I've heard of people yelling at their neighbors up there about, you commie taking the train. Wait a second, why is my property value gone down? Oh, because there's no transportation into the city? Whoa, that's not good. You know what they should do is build a train line. I can't wait for that. 952-946-6205. We do have another scandal in basketball, courtesy of this is the Racket brought this up. So I'm just starting to realize that Glenn Taylor he's kind of an interesting dude, isn't he? The new owners of the Minnesota Timberwolves and Lynx are of course, A-Rod and Mark Lowe. When the billionaire owner of the Star Tribune, Glenn Taylor, decided he didn't want to sell his basketball teams to Lohr and Rodriguez after the super rich are kind of fickle, what had happened is they started to win, and all of a sudden he's like, wait a second, this is kind of fun. Taylor needed ammunition to convince the NBA to block the sale. And so, according to a sports podcaster, Pablo Torre, Taylor ordered two of his underlings to gather up a burn book, as in a Mean Girls style list of 77 itemized reasons why the sale should not be approved. Among the revelations, Taylor had hoped that it would sway the NBA. Rodriguez did steroids. Really? Mark Lohr came into the arena with an open bottle of alcohol. Okay, you thought this was going to sway anyone? The best one, though, Mark Lohr had dinner with Kevin Garnett and never told me. I think actually I'll go with Garnett probably never told you, because if I'm not mistaken, you guys are not exactly BFFs. The hated Taylor and Garnett have for each other burned so pure and bright you could power the planet if you wanted to. So yeah, it's kind of funny. Here he is basically trying his best to, I'm going to get you. A burn book. Yeah. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205 is the phone number. I'll tell you what, I'm actually going to take a break a little early here. When I do come back, I want to talk a little bit about politics, and then a reminder: we got a Thursday night football game. Vikings are at the LA Chargers tonight. What time? Do you know what time that game starts at tonight?
7:15.
So really, they still make them start at 5:15 in the afternoon on the West Coast on these games.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was the whole point of giving the Sunday night game over to them, was that then they could turn the Monday nights and the Thursday nights into like a 9 o'clock start time for West Coast. Locally, 9 o'clock locally.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So 7:15 normal start time.
Hey, I'm not complaining. I get so tired. I can't stand it when the NBA games or the NHL games start at 9:30 at night. Or when did that Gopher Cal game start? That was a 9:30 start time, wasn't it?
Well, at 10.
Jeez, it was brutal.
Something like that.
All right, we'll take a break. Come on back. It is the Matt McNeil Show here on your Thursday.
This that pretty girl mantra, this that flaunt, you just touched down and out.
This season, bring the whole family to see Irving Berlin's White Christmas. This smash hit musical based on the classic film returns by popular demand to delight you at Chanhassen dinner theaters. With loads of laughter and a stunning showcase of Irving Berlin songs, White Christmas is a celebration of the romance, friendship, and magic of the holidays. Make your plans today to see White Christmas. Visit chanhassendt.com.
Hi, I'm Scott Shambot from Shambot Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. We know dental anxiety and dental phobia are real. We'll take the time to get to know you and give you what you need to be comfortable at all times. We offer free nitrous oxide laughing gas and have high-tech options to help you feel calm and relaxed during your appointments. We'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call because we don't like to see anyone in pain. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been going to Shambot Family Dentistry for years. They get me in last minute when I'm in pain and make regular checkups easy and comfortable.
Shamblat Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblatfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
Twin Cities Con returns to the Minneapolis Convention Center for their 5th year, November 7th through the 9th. Twin Cities Con is a celebration of comics, toys, TV, film, art, cosplay, games, and all things nerdy. There's nothing like Twin Cities Con. It's also a family-friendly event where you can meet your favorite celebrities, browse the vendor hall and artist alley for the coolest merch, watch celebrity Q&As, and even more. Twin Cities Con is bigger and better than before. Come see from the Star Wars universe Ahmad Best, Rosario Dawson and Giancarlo Esposito, Brendan Fraser, and the cast of The Mummy, WWE Wrestling Hall of Famers Sting and Mick Foley, and the voice actors from the hit Disney series Phineas and Ferb, plus more guests to be announced. 3 days of action-packed fun in the heart of Minneapolis at the Minneapolis Convention Center. Tickets start at $50. Kids' tickets are just $10 for the entire weekend. VIP tickets also available, including a 3-day weekend pass, plus some really cool VIP perks. More guests will be announced. Buy your tickets and get more information at TwinCitiesCon.com.
The Park Tavern in St. Louis Park is the perfect place for fun. Their bowling lanes are a blast. Their full menu is amazing. Burgers, tacos, wings, sliders, pizza, dinners, and more. Or try their weekend breakfast menu. Enjoy all the games on their numerous TVs while enjoying their drink menu and happy hour specials. And the patio is open to enjoy the warmer months. And even when it's not too warm, they've got heaters and curtains. On Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park, your next get-together with friends or family will be great at the Park Tavern. I hope they have the heaters and curtains up for the Vikes game tonight over at Park Tavern. It's supposed to get freezing here tonight. Isn't it supposed to get frosty?
Yeah, low around freezing tonight.
Oh man, it'll be interesting. I'll let you know tomorrow after I'm going to the pumpkin thing late tonight over at the Minnesota Zoo. I'm going to do that. I'll let you know how many people are there, because if it gets pretty chilly there, I'll be surprised if you don't see some people. But then again, I've been out there when it's raining and it was packed still. So a lot of people do like that. 952-946-6205. The KSTP has decided that their number one story for the day is that the auditor position, Representative Engen, the Republican from the Northeast Metro. This is the guy, if you're wondering why his name sounds familiar, apparently he had a relative that was at White Bear High School, and this kid that, this adult that tried to pretend they were a kid, he got a lot of press because he was irate, as anyone should be, over what happened there. That's why he is. But he has announced he's running for auditor, and of course now it's everything is the corruption, that sort of thing. And once again, hey, it's clear there's an element of people that are out there that are looking at every social safety program and trying to figure out a way to screw people over and steal the money from it. That is definitive. But the Democratic Party at this point has to realize that any of these bills that come through, you have to put some sort of oversight into place. That's got to be part of the package. And that's just the deal. And by the way, I want to just say for the record, one of the things that's going to happen is this entire election, this upcoming election in 2026 is going to be them saying about fraud, and how the Democrats allowed it to happen. And I still think Republicans have a fairly Herculean uphill battle when the Republicans are there, and you're going to have a Senate race and you're going to have the House races and Trump weighing over like a large orange, Death Star over the state. I don't think it's going to be necessarily a cakewalk, especially as he's annihilated your ag sector. I mean, hey, I understand there's a lot of idiots out in the ag sector that are about to lose their family farm that will say, I don't blame Trump at all. Okay, fine. But there are a lot that are, blame Trump 100%. So good luck with all that. But I want to just make sure, here's the point I would make to any Republican out there. Where were you guys outraged about people stealing money from a government program when it was a bunch of white wealthy guys stealing COVID relief funds and jamming that in their pocket? Because that happened a ton. And some people stole millions of dollars, and you guys didn't say a damn thing about it. Is that because it was wealthy white suburban guys that were doing that were stealing all that money versus black people and minorities this time? Because it seems like that might be the reason why, because you guys didn't say a peep when some wealthy white suburban dude stole a bunch of COVID relief funds. You didn't say a damn thing. But all of a sudden now, black people are the ones committing the fraud, and you're outraged, are you? Or are you just outraged about the race of the people that are doing it? Because it sounds more like you're the race. And considering that's what the Republican Party is a lot of racism right now. Hey, you guys have got the Hitler-Nazi problem. That's on you guys. But yeah, tell me, no, Matt, it has nothing to do with race. Yeah, as we find in another private chat group that talks Hitler. Yeah, okay, whatever. So that's how I'd counterpoint it. I would just sort of say, where were you guys? When were you guys outraged about the COVID relief funds that were being stolen by wealthy white guys in the suburbs? Funny. You guys did. I don't remember any social media posts about any of that. Do you? No, not at all. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. That's how because that's going to be every race the Democrats are in coming up here. I'm going to weigh a little bit into the Minneapolis mayor city council races here. I don't live in Minneapolis. What I will say is it is a bit of a fascinating, series of races to watch, because there clearly is an element that wants to place a pro Mayor Fry city council in place that, I don't know if they would necessarily take marching orders from Fry, but they would clearly be in place not to disagree with Fry. How about I say it like that? Versus the city council they've got right now, which has been a bit of a thorn in Mayor Fry's side. And there is a lot of money going into these races to try to basically say, hey, you don't have to vote, far left. You can vote moderate Democrat. And that sort of thing. I will say, just from an outside observation, it's still Mayor Fry's race to lose. Incumbency gives you a lot of power. Plus, you got to win the south and the southwestern side of the city, and basically kind of the downtown and the northeastern side of the city. And I'm not saying that there aren't patches there where it's tough for Fry, but he has shown that I remember the last election, the number of people that were screaming, "Don't rank Fry," and he won easily on the first ballot. So to imply that he is somewhat easy to knock off, I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I'll share more on that after the election for sure. But I wanted to talk about this. There's a story from Axios Twin Cities. The most expensive Minneapolis City Council election this year will test the incumbent's theory that her ward isn't as moderate as everyone assumes it is. Ward 7 council member Katie Cashman has helped deliver huge victories for the left-wing coalition that controls the council. A frustrated Mayor Jacob Fry's relatively moderate agenda is the sacrificial lamb. Cashman is one of 3 left-leaning incumbents whose re-election campaigns are being drastically outspent. Defeat for any of them would cost the coalition its veto-proof majority. Ward 7 includes parts of the downtown and uptown and the affluent Chain of Lakes neighborhoods between the two. So basically, that's going to be on the north side of the Chain of Lakes. So I'm going to guess Lake of the Isles and Cedar Lake up that way. Cashman narrowly won her seat in 2023, filling a seat held for 25 years by the departing and more moderate Lisa Goodman. Cashman now faces a challenge from Park Board Commissioner Elizabeth Schaefer. Schaefer had nearly a 2-to-1 fundraising advantage over Cashman in August, having raked in more than $122,000. That is for a city council race. That's crazy. Cashman's moderate opponent in 2023 also out-fundraised her by a wide margin, though. And Cashman still won 51% of the vote. So we already have this. I mean, this is going to be actually quite an interesting race to watch because we already have an established case where the moderate Democrats tried to knock out the more liberal Cashman, and they outspent her dramatically, and she won. And so now they're basically trying to do the same thing again. And I don't know. My feeling is in the last 4 years, the voting base of Minneapolis has indeed gotten more left than it was before. So I'm not saying, I mean, maybe her win at 51% was an anomaly last time. I don't know. I think that especially as you watch what Trump is doing, and frankly, like I said, I mean, whether it's the worshiping of guns, even though we've had gun violence strike our city directly, or the cutting of food and services for the needy. I don't think those things generally breed more moderate thought processes. I just don't. The old guard in Minneapolis lost in 23, and they want the seat back, Cashman, instead of the money. I think it's a little short-sighted on their part. She told Axios, saying she's built a bridge between the council's ideological factions. So, she's, obviously presenting herself as someone who's works between the two sides, but, she has definitely been someone who has sided at times against Fry and the more moderates on that. When the stakes were high, Cashman more often sided with the council's activist socialist majority, Schaefer told Axios. I think Ward 7 is primarily in the other camp. Among Schaefer's critiques, Labor Standards Board, Cashman co-authored the union-backed proposal, and anxious businesses felt they were held at arm's length by the council. The mayor ultimately vetoed that bill. The Uber Lyft bill, Cashman voted to reject Fry's proposal for a smaller driver pay increase, but the legislature overrode the council and imposed the statewide rates. That was a lot of time and energy, and now the city council has less power. Well, the Uber Lyft drivers weren't getting paid much. I mean, I have a hard time thinking that anyone who's a Democrat would look at how they were getting paid and say, yeah, that's great. I mean, maybe an Oklahoma Democrat might think that that's a good thing, but they were getting screwed. I appreciated people standing up for the workers. I don't believe that if you have a minimum wage standard that we should have an exception for that, because that kind of depletes the whole purpose of having the minimum wage standard, doesn't it? At least it does to me. Cashman responded, the causes illustrate core principles. You get what you organize for. In both cases, workers fighting for dignity on the job brought large numbers of cases of compelling need to the city hall. Cashman hasn't always sided with the council's left wing, though. She broken with the coalition in cases she found less compelling, pointing to a recent vote against requiring advance notice of commercial building sale. like I said, city council race. I guess to a point it is the sausage making. We're getting into the sausage. It's like county commissioners and stuff like that. You're getting in. What are we doing with that water park? That sort of thing. But it is, this is why it's crazy. It's 100. The one candidate's got 100. Schaefer's got $122,000 for this race in one reporting session. My goodness. As of late September, 3 outside Fry aligned PACs had spent $47,000 trying to swing the race to Schaefer. Cashman said the support of Minneapolis for the Many, a PAC opposed to Fry, hasn't officially reported any spending in the Ward 7 race, so at least one ad produced by the PAC attacking Schaefer has surfaced recently. If you make an ad and no one sees it, did it really matter? I don't know. It's okay. Cashman argues Ward 7's reputation as a centrist stronghold and it reflects which precincts have voted more reliably in the past. Her strongest precincts in 2023, downtown and Loring Park, also had some of the lowest turnout. If we have full turnout, absolutely, this ward is extremely working class and ready to move for the progressive direction, she said. I'll say it like this. It clearly is a lot of questions. I mean, obviously, I'm on the outside looking in. I do not live in Minneapolis. I find it very interesting because I think Minneapolis is fantastic. I love Minneapolis. I love going to the downtown. The restaurants are great. The nightlife is great. Still, I'll make an argument. The Stone Arch Bridge walk up to Hennepin and back around is one of the prettiest urban walks you will ever see any city. It is spectacular. There's a lot of things that are right in this city. And so from the outside looking in, it is kind of fun to watch people kind of just go at each other's throats about, the notification for commercial building sales. We need longer time, darn it. Okay. But the reality is that there's a lot of money here that wants to see a city council that is much more aligned with Mayor Fry. Whether that materializes or not, I will say this. Last time, once again, Fry kind of trounced. He won, and he is at the top of the heap until he's not. That's kind of the incumbency thing. But the city council, I think there's a lot of people that will say, I'll keep Fry in place, but I'm not going to give him the city council he wants. Whether that plays out this election cycle remains to be seen. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. When we do return, it's a special Thursday edition of Michael Broadcorp as the Vikings go to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers, and we will talk about that. It is the Matt McNeil Show here on your Thursday.
In today's uncertain times, Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces believes that a fire can add comfort and security to your life. At Woodland, our mission is to connect you to a place for fire that works.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces installed our wood stove years ago, and we still love it. Watching the fire, feeling the heat is a joy we experience every day. And knowing we have a reliable heat source makes us feel snug and safe.
There are many choices in wood, gas, or electric. For diversity and styles, at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we display over 180 models, and 35 of these are burning displays. You can experience the glow and warmth of a live fire.
Whether wood, gas, or electric, find a fire that warms your heart, a fire that adds comfort and security to your life. The many choices at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, located on the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis, and online at woodlandstoves.com.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces since 1977. For over 48 years, our slogan has been, out of the ordinary products and services. Our mission is to get you a fireplace that works in your life.
It's no secret that medical care costs are soaring, with nursing home and skilled nursing care costs being some of the highest. You don't have to deplete your savings in order to receive long-term care. At Schroman Law, we work with families to develop and implement strategic planning for medical assistance for long-term care, for assisted living, nursing home care, or home-based care. Contact us today to schedule a free consultation at schromanlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
Oh, you know what that music means. It means I'm back, baby! The Grinch. Don't miss seeing me at Children's Theatre Company this holiday season. Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas is great for anyone who likes classic Grinchy tunes, and me, the mean one in the flesh, or in the green fur. Make your plans to spend the holiday season with me. You'll remember it forever. Tickets and showtimes at childrenstheatre.org.
It's not too early to start your Thanksgiving preparations. Ferndale Market is now taking reservations for their fresh, never frozen turkeys, raised free range and without antibiotics on the Peterson family's third generation farm in Cannon Falls. Ferndale Market turkeys are the perfect centerpiece for your holiday meal. A fresh turkey means no thawing hassle, faster cooking time, and the peace of mind knowing it's been raised naturally, just the way Fern and Del Peterson envisioned back in 1939 when they started the farm. You can pick up your turkey just days before Thanksgiving on their on-farm market and have some fun during Turkey Fest, or find Ferndale Market turkeys at natural food stores across the Midwest. Ferndale Market's commitment to quality has been passed down through the generations, ensuring that you get the best turkey for your table. Don't wait. Reserve your turkey today at ferndalemarket.com or use their website to find a retail partner near you. Make this Thanksgiving special with a farm fresh turkey from Ferndale Market.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, clear with a low around freezing. Then Friday, sunshine with a high of 56. Mavericks Real Roast Beef in Roseville has the best roast beef sandwiches in the Twin Cities and so much more. And don't forget the fresh fries or onion rings. Mavericks is located on Lexington Avenue, 1 mile south of Highway 36. Check them out at mavericksbeef.com.
AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
It is a Vikings game day. Vikings are playing at the Los Angeles Chargers tonight. 7:15 start time. That means Michael Broadcorp, our Vikings expert. We know him, of course, talking politics. As a matter of fact, I got to get you on the air sometime in the next 2 weeks to talk about the Minneapolis stuff here with that race, because that's pretty much the main one. Minneapolis and St. Paul. We'll have to definitely have you talk on it, about those and your thoughts about that. But it's all Vikings today, so we don't have to worry about politics at all. Hello, Michael.
It's great to be here.
Michael Broadcorp, of course. Michael, how you doing after this last game, man? Yeah, that wasn't good.
Well, belated happy birthday to you,
Thank you very much.
for that. Sunday was a tough day. Sunday was a tough loss. And I commiserated after the loss by going and spending $25 at an apple orchard for a jar of jam. So that's how I commiserated on Sunday, but it was a very tough loss.
Carson Wentz is just not going to be the option to carry us in the down times that we have. I mean, the TJ Hawkinson play, which, by the way, okay, we'll talk about that really briefly. He had the ball. I mean, if you're going to go look at the Denver game, that first touchdown Denver came back and that incredible comeback they had in the fourth quarter, that ball was getting bounced around in the end zone. The guy catches it and literally falls out of bounds as he catches it, and they called that a touchdown. Hawkinson had far clearer control, but it just seems at times the referees have this weird, they have to hold it for 12 full freaking seconds and then it's a catch. And no one seems to be able to identify when that rule is applied and when it's not.
That was a catch, and that's a hill I'm going to die on.
It was.
I'm going to die. If you believe that wasn't a catch, we can't be friends. And so that's going to be my new measuring stick. It was a catch. And I'll also say to you that, as someone pointed out on social media, did we ever stop and think that there's too many cameras for the refs to make a decision? Because it's really adding an element to the game. And that was a catch, and that should have been a touchdown. But again, the Vikings gave them too many opportunities.
That one, drive aside, there were 4 other drives that we got down to the red zone and Wentz just could not get the ball into the end zone. And if you've got Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson and, running back options, 4 times is inexcusable. You should be able to get that ball in there. And I think a lot of that had to do with Carson Wentz and whether or not he gets freaked out by playing his former team or not. He has never beaten them. And kind of just, you watched a guy that was, he kind of started panicking it was too little too late by the time he kind of tried to start figuring things out.
Yeah. You got to be able to put points on the board, get touchdowns to win a football game. And we can do as much praising about Will Reichard. He did a great job once again. It seems that the only thing that can stop him is a wire overseas, but he is just a machine. But the reality is that the Vikings were in a position to score touchdowns on Sunday, and Wentz was not able to put it in the end zone where it needed to be.
All right, we have to have the hard discussion here because Carson Wentz is going tonight.
Which I think we should note that in last week's analysis, because Wentz was announced last Friday when we did our analysis, we had said that if Wentz is announced on Sunday, which he was, we had discussed that. To me, that was likely. That meant that JJ was not going to start this midweek, and that's been the announcement that McCarthy is not starting today. That Wentz is.
Patrick, the producer here, he basically made that point too. It's just too much of a short week, and he was just not going to do it. So Wentz is going in. JJ, I don't think is he listed on the depth chart? He's probably 3 behind Brosmer, if that's
he's
correct?
3.
Yeah. All right, we have to have a discussion here because here we are. He's played 2 games, really only 1 good quarter. He has been out now. We're starting to get towards half the season now. And he's not been playing games. I think we're at the point. It clearly is not Carson Wentz. I posted this on Monday, and I want your thoughts and let you elaborate on this. My mentality: you give him some slack. I mean, this season clearly is not going to be what we thought it was going to be. But fine, you've got this guy. You think he's going to be the quarterback. We got the quarterback whisperer. Put him into place. Give him some slack. He doesn't have to be yanked every 5 seconds. But you play him 2-3 games. And if you're just not seeing it come out, I think you pull him, you go right past Carson Wentz, and you look at Max Brosmer. And I'm not saying Brosmer is going to be great, but you give the guy the chance and you say, here's the deal. We know what we have with these other 2 guys. You win, you keep playing. And I think that should be the game plan we have moving forward if JJ just doesn't develop once he starts playing again.
I completely agree with you. I think that as you said it, I was wondering how you're going to ease into the Wentz conversation, and you did it brilliantly. I mean, he's just not that person. And so that also, we also have the quarterback whisperer. We know that KOC's, this is a good environment. The question is McCarthy a NFL caliber quarterback? And the truth is he hasn't been healthy enough, I think, to make that decision. I think that the Vikings, and I think no one in this state wants JJ McCarthy to succeed more than KOC and the Vikings ownership. But the truth is that he hasn't shown that he can be an NFL caliber quarterback. And so if he comes back, assuming we get through tonight, and Wentz has done well on Thursday night football games. And so that gives us we next face the Lions. If he's not showing a lot of strength and mobility on the field, I don't know how much longer this experiment can go on, but I think your timeline is great. And I think it makes sense because at this point where the Vikings are, every game now is a must win in order for them to make the playoffs. And we're 3-3. This division is strong. We kind of probably got to get to that 10 win margin, 9 or 10 wins. That means the Vikings got to win at least 6 to 7 more times before we win the playoffs. And I got to tell you, we're halfway through this. We're at 6. We're 3-3 right now. I'm struggling to see how this team wins 6 to 7 more games.
I'm kind of with you on that. And I think that, it's not as dire as Baltimore. Baltimore has to basically win out if they're going to make the playoffs. And that's kind of the situation they're in. But you have 1 or 2. Okay, fine. The game at Detroit. I'll give you the loss on that one. But you've got to win tonight. You've got to win with Baltimore when he comes here. You've got to beat Chicago when they come here. You've got to go win. You got to try to win at Green Bay. You got to kind of try to do these things, and you can't just shrug your shoulders and hope that it gets there. I think it's you don't have the captain on the field that you thought you're going to have. And can JJ McCarthy be that? I don't know. But you look at the other quarterbacks that came on out. Jaden McDaniels in the Washington. Of course, he's having a down year this year, but he came out of the gate on fire. Bo Nix, dear gosh, the kid out in Denver, he is actually starting to look really good. Penix Jr., iffy, but still, I'd say, you can't. All these people that say JJ McCarthy's got this potential, it's way I feel like when Marion Gabrick was with the Minnesota Wild. I understand he's got a lot of talent, but if he's riding the pine most of the time because he's freaking injured, that you can't consider him a great talent because he was constantly injured. And I think he needs to come back and just get through a few games without going out with an injury, for God's sakes.
Yes, there is. Look, as I know that there are passionate people in this state who think that JJ McCarthy is the answer that we've been waiting for.
Yeah.
I think every fair analysis, I think the best analysis on his career is that there is not enough information right now to say whether he's an NFL caliber quarterback, in part because he's been hurt so much.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of quarterbacks in the history of the NFL that had potential but could not overcome injuries. And you hear about them all the time. And the question is whether JJ McCarthy is a bust in terms of an NFL caliber quarterback, or whether he is just physically incapable of competing at the high level that he needs to succeed in this league. And I think the jury is out on that. But on paper, he's a great quarterback. But the bottom line is, on paper doesn't cut it.
Yeah.
On Sunday, he has to lead the Vikings. And over 2 seasons with injuries, there's no record to show that he can do that.
And there's been plenty of quarterbacks who on paper look great, and just when it comes to practicality is not there. And I think that's, we have to make that determination. And if that does mean, yeah, this is kind of a mulligan of a season, we're just going to roll with it, but we have to determine what we've got. Well, I think that's where you have to look at, and it kind of becomes sobering, but at the same time, this is the kind of the mess you're in. And yeah, I feel sorry for JJ. Injuries are not the way that you want to get replaced. What was it? Drew Bledsoe got replaced by Tom Brady, as an injury, I do believe. And that was the end of that, so it does happen. But at the same time, there comes a point where if you're getting injured, you're not playing, then you're not really the quarterback, because it's not like you had that option in the first place.
Correct. And let's be honest. He's competing. This is the world stage. He is competing at an athletic level. The expectations is that he compete at an athletic level that 1% of 1% of 1% people can do. I mean, what he's being asked to do but that's what he's paid to do. He's drafted to do that, and this is his role in the team. This has been a very, very frustrating experiment and exercise. And honestly, I don't know how much more time he has to figure this out, because this is a business, and there are opportunities, and giving him 2 years to figure this out. This is one of the challenges with the NFL. There's really not a lot of development leagues. Okay. This is the NFL, and that's the best opportunity he has. And he's going to have to start showing something that he hasn't shown in the last year and a half.
Well, and it's very interesting you say it like that, because the NFL goes the opposite way. You try to debut at the highest level.
Correct.
And if it doesn't work, you go down to the CBA or the European League, or whatever the case may be, or the Arena Football League. You go down to them. You don't play at the top level. I think it is almost a reversal. The NFL, I think, could do a lot of good to have a better system in place, a la like baseball, which I think has got the best minor league system. I mean, that you really can develop a player through the time, as opposed to, here's the fire, enjoy. I hope you're a flame retardant. You don't have any problems there.
And he signed up for that. And that's where we get into just the reality of where we are right now, is that I think the Vikings kind of magic number is what they need to get is they got to get 6 or 7 more wins. And I honestly, as I was kind of preparing my analysis and came to that kind of stark reality, I don't know how I'm struggling to see how we get to 6 to 7 more wins. If we're there, trust me, I'll be ecstatic, and I'll say that I predicted it the entire step of the way. But sitting here right now, looking at that analysis, I'm struggling to see how they get to 6 to 7 more wins and get to that playoff spot.
We'll just skip past the Chargers game for the time being. Lions, I think they're going to lose that game. I think they'll beat the Ravens. I think they'll beat the Bears. Packers, God. At Packers, home game, I think we're going to win. That's 2. Yep. But I don't think I'll give them the mulligan. We'll give them 3 there. They're going to lose at the Seahawks. I'm very concerned about the Commanders game. I am. I mean, if that's, you see, but what happened with that Eagles game? What happened with all of a sudden our secondary is non-existent.
Correct.
And a team that basically couldn't throw the ball 5 yards is chucking it 40 yards every time. That's
Correct.
What concerns me a lot about this game in Los Angeles tonight is we are like the remedy for a team that has a bad passing attack. They come in and all of a sudden they light us up for 300, 400 yards. And I just, it's what happens. You look at that Commanders game, that's the case. I think they'll beat the Cowboys. I think they'll beat the Giants. I think they're going to lose at home to the Lions, and they'll beat the Packers at home. And I mean, that gets us to like 5 or 6. And depending on what
4 or 5.
Yeah.
And I think you're being fair with your analysis, and neither of us are trying to spike the football and be melodramatic and say the season's over. But if we're projecting out the analysis and say, okay, if that magic number is 6 to 7, how do they get there? Based on the remaining schedule, it's tough to see how they get there. They can accomplish it, but guess what, folks? It starts tonight.
Well, I got 6. Okay, so they're going to beat the Packers,
Okay, you got
Giants,
6.
Cowboys. That gets me 3. Then Bears, Vikings, and then I'm giving them the mulligan to win at Green Bay. That's more of a prayer. But so that gives them 6. So tonight, same thing. And I just brought it up. This is why I'm concerned about this game. The Chargers have not been a great team, and they are 4-3 on the season, so they've been muddled. They've not looked great against. They had a last second touchdown to beat freaking Miami, and Miami's an absolute mess. But at the same time, this is the problem with the Vikings, is that teams look at us and they start licking their chops, because they not only do they look at our defense and say, well, we're clearly going to get 20-yard, 30-yard passes. We just need to get a game plan to get it into place. But as well, then they're looking at us right now and saying, well, we don't have to worry about 20, 30-yard passes from Carson Wentz, so we can just flood the zone with linebackers and linemen and make them try to have to run through us. This is one of those games. I mean, your thoughts on this as we head into this matchup?
I think it's tough. I mean, the Chargers are a slight favorite, around 3.5 at home. Yeah. Vikings have a strong road record. They're 14-6 since 2023. 2023, excuse me. LA's defense, a little bit of vulnerability. I think this is a flip of a coin, and let's do something. Let's do something that I'll go first.
Please, I'm going to let you, because I got to tell you, it's like if the Carson Wentz that showed up and played at home versus Philadelphia is playing in Los Angeles, I don't think they win that game. But I'll let you go ahead.
My prediction: Vikings 24, Chargers 22. That's the absolute best I can spin and hope for tonight, but it could literally be a flip of a coin either way.
I have to go the opposite way, man. I do.
Fine.
I think it, and you know me. I'm kind of one of these guys. I do like being a homer. I'm saying they're going to win at Green Bay, but I look at this game and the short week, bad loss at home. Carson Wentz is not the starter we need. I mean, so half our weapons are not going to be used until frantic in the last and the fourth quarter as they try to make a comeback. I think it's going to be too little, too late. 24-20. I think the Chargers are going to beat us tonight.
Got it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I know that makes me the dinkus. I know.
No, it doesn't. I mean, here's the truth of the matter: is that we're doing this for analysis, we're doing this for fun, but we have to be honest.
Yeah, we do.
We have to be honest, and I hope you're wrong, and I know you hope that I'm right.
Too. I hope I'm wrong.
But I will say to you, it's been a short week. They have dominant opponents ahead, a road crowd in LA. This is an opportunity for the Vikings. One thing that we have seen this year is we have not seen the Vikings rise to the opportunity that they're in front of them. And this is a night that they need to have that opportunity.
I got Jefferson on my fantasy team, and just watching these stats, it just is just so hard. Because it's like, this guy should be doing so much more, and he doesn't have the guy being able to get the ball to him. That's what, to a point, I'd love to see what Brosmer could do. Just give me someone, tell me you can throw a ball 20 yards down the field and let Jefferson jump for it.
Well, at some point, being in this kind of quarterback purgatory that we're in, but if the Vikings lose tonight, and we get into the next few weeks and they're not coming, why, as you pointed out, why not let that experiment happen? Let's give it a try. Let's see. If we're not going to make the playoffs, this is a time in which to take the opportunity to get those reps in for someone else other than Carson Wentz.
Imagine what would happen if Wentz goes down, Brosmer comes in, leads them to a win in Los Angeles. Can you imagine how this town will tear itself apart?
I dare. Oh, my boy. Oh, boy.
We'll save that.
Your phone's going to be blowing up if that's going to happen. Your phone is just going to melt.
Michael Broadcorp, we will check in with you next week. Thank you very much. I appreciate the time. Hopefully the Vikes get the win. I'll go with your optimism tonight. We'll come on back. Good news story to round up for the day. It is the Matt McNeil Show here on your Thursday.
Cafe Latte offers made-from-scratch soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts.
So come check out their pizza and wine bar or get a treat from the bakery made fresh daily. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
I'm Marcus Jones. I'm a Minneapolis firefighter, just like my father was. Serving my community means leading with integrity and putting the community above myself. I don't trust Omar Fateh to lead the city as mayor. His state Senate campaign committed voter fraud. He's proposed corrupt legislation to benefit himself. Look it up. I was shocked at what I saw. We deserve leaders who are honest and lead with integrity, not Omar Fateh.
This independent expenditure is paid for by all of Minneapolis. It is not coordinated with or approved by any candidate, nor is any candidate responsible for it.
There really is no place like home. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Home Health. When you're faced with an illness or an injury, being able to stay at home and receive care is important. Our home health offers a wide range of services, including skilled nursing, physical, occupational, and speech therapies, aides, homemakers, in-home respite care, and 24/7 live-in care. We'll work closely with your primary care provider to come up with an individualized plan for you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. October is here, so Halloween is right around the corner. And if you're thinking of having a horror movie marathon with friends, you better make sure your home doesn't look like something out of one of those movies. Don't ghost your carpet this fall. My cleaning heroes at Zero Res can help get all those spooky smells and creepy stains out of your home. Carpet, tile, rugs, upholstery, hardwood, any surface in your home can be Zero Resified. Right now, you can get your entire home Zero Resified from Minnesota's ultimate carpet cleaner, with 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $129. But there's something even scarier than ghosts and goblins hiding in your home, and it's in your air ducts. This month, take 15% off your air duct and dryer vent cleaning service. Don't let a missed deal haunt you. Call 9520-RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com today and ask for the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
Reminder, Native Roots Radio is coming up here after this show. Fantastic Native American news that you will not hear anywhere else. Robert Pilot and crew ready to go there. Patty Vasquez tonight at 9 o'clock. My bestie from Chicago. And, of course, 10 o'clock tonight, Greg Bakken and Ghost Box Radio. Make sure you're here for the evening. I'm going to hopefully not tear up with this one. Sophia Forchus, the 12-year-old who doctors worried would not survive the wounds she sustained at the Annunciation Church and school mass shooting, received a joyous reception on Thursday upon her release from the hospital nearly 2 months later. Under escort from Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara, Sophia rode in a stretch limousine after being discharged from Gillette's Children's Specialty Healthcare in St. Paul to HCMC in Minneapolis, where she and several other victims were taken on August 27th. Forchus, dressed in blue sweats and a backward baseball cap, flashed a big grin as the limo door swung open. She was greeted by well-wishers, cheers, and applause outside of HCMC's emergency entrance. Among those there with a hug was the doctor who gave a pretty sobering assessment to her prognosis less than 2 weeks after the shooting that killed 2 students and injured 28 others. There is a chance that maybe she is the third fatality in the event, he said on September 5th, but the door has been open a little bit and some rays of light, hope, are shining through, and they indeed did, as she is once again discharged. It sounds like once again gone from Gillette Children's Hospital in St. Paul, going over to HCMC there as she continues her recovery. And all my best to her, her family, all of her friends, supporters. Way to go, guys. Chief O'Hara, way to go. Nicely done. Like I said, good news. I like when we have good news to wrap up the show. Native Roots is up next. Have a good one. Until tomorrow. See ya.
Hi, this is Paul Metza. Join me in